I'm Jim Gary at Batillepi's Workshop. Today's video shows how and why I made and installed temporary ladder extensions for my 10-foot fiberglass step ladder. And I'm only showing you what I did, not what you should do, so please don't do this yourself. If you're interested, there are links to some of my other videos in the description below. So please like and subscribe. Now let's get on with the video. The peak of my shop ceiling is a little over 14 feet. The tallest step ladder I have is 10 feet, which is just a little short of what I need to do work on the ceiling, especially wiring or lights. Rather than buy or rent a ladder for these rare occasions, I thought of making extensions for my 10-foot ladder. They sell ladder extensions commercially, mostly to level ladders on stairs, and they simply bolt through the holes drilled into the side of the ladder. I thought I could do the same thing with wood, and they'd be removable, so I would only have them on when I needed the extra height. So this is my 10-foot ladder, and I'm going to climb up it to the top. And as far as standing, I can feel fairly comfortable standing on the second step down from the top. But if I have to reach up here, I'm kind of extending myself. So here it's not so bad because I can hold on to this. But on the other side, I wouldn't be able to do that. If I were 1 foot higher, I would be up here and it would be really easy because my head would just be a few inches below. So I think what that means is I just have to make my ladder extensions about 1 foot, and that'll be plenty. So this is my 10-foot ladder, and the first thing I want to do is measure how long it actually is. And I've got the front leg about 121 inches and the short leg at 117. The thicker one, the front one's the 10-foot. That's the one that has the steps on it. There's also these rubber bumpers, and they're riveted on, and I suppose I could drill out the rivets and get the wood right up against the feet here, right up against the rail. The other possibility would be just to put a spacer underneath the 2x, and that spacer would have to be, I guess, about 3/4 of an inch thick. So I get some 3/4 inch and attach it and then lay the 2x4 over that. That way I just avoid having to mess with these feet. If I make the extension 14 inches, so here, and I want to have a 24-inch overlap, that'll get me to 38 inches. I want to go a 24-inch overlap, which brings me to here for the wider one, and to here for the narrower side of the ladder. And then I'm going to put in a piece of 3/4 by here and here to underlay the 2x4, which will have the 14-inch extension out. So basically I need to cut 2 pieces of wood that are 1.75 by 20 inches. For the wider one, 3 inches wide by 20 inches. And the bottom of the 2x4 that comes over here will have to match the same angle as these feet. So the spacers are just going to be made out of this 3/4 inch plywood. So I've got all the spacer boards marked at 20 inches. This is the first time I've used this crosscut sled. So I'm just checking it out. That looks good. And my son helped me make this, and he put this red tape here so I'd remind myself not to put my hand down where the blade comes through. And I always put the blade away when I'm not using the saw, so it's going to go down there. It cuts like butter with that new blade. I have a super simple miter cutting station. Years ago I made this stack of 2x4s and trim the exact height of my miter saw cutting surface. The miter saw sits on a bench that's shared with my bench sanders. And I keep the stack out of the way most of the time, but when I need to cut long pieces, I pull it out to support the longer pieces I'm cutting. So rather than make all 4 of them at once, we're just going to make one as a prototype. So 38 inches is to here. Mark it with a square. Okay, so I've got the red line right on it, so all I have to do is cut it. And I always wait to release the saw till after it's stopped. This is an old saw, it doesn't have a brake on it. So now this should be my 38-inch piece, which it is. So now we need to go and mark it for the angle we're gonna have to cut at one end of it. So I'm gonna do this the simple way. Just hold this parallel, that's about right. There. So we'll take it back to the miter saw and cut it. Since I'm going to have to miter, I've got to take my box off here, the dust collection box off. It's homemade, but it works fine. Get that out of the way. So now I'm just going to eyeball, I can see the angle right across here. So I'm just going to eyeball it. That looks pretty good. I'm at 15 degrees, so let's just cut it. So that should match the bottom of the ladder. So I've got the beveled edge here, and I've marked 14 inches above that on both sides. So this is the line that should line up with the ladder bottom. And I'm just going to run that line around both sides just to make sure it's where I need it. There, turn it all the way around, so that's good. So I've got the spacer board set up where I think it needs to be. It's a little higher than that, but that's okay. And I'm just going to nail it with 18 gauge nail, a couple of nails. I don't want to have any screws go through any nails, but now this should fit pretty well. So now I just have to clamp it in place, and then I can drill and put some bolts in it. So I've got the extension clamped into place, and I want to put a bolt here and a bolt here. So I'm going to mark those so they don't interfere with anything behind. I think this one can go probably here, and I think this one is going to have to go about here. And I'm going to drill the holes a little bit off center. So one's going to be low here, and the other one's going to be a little bit higher here. So I lucked out and found some 3-inch long 5/16 bolts. So I've only found 2 of them. So I'll do this one leg, and then I'll have to go back to a hardware store and get some more. I'm using this Portal line, it's called. These were made by Craftsman, and you couldn't find anything like that for a long time. And now lots of people have come up with these as being a more portable alternative to the drill press. And you can actually clamp it in place if you want, but I'm just going to hold it there. Just want to make sure I get a straight hole. There it goes. Okay, that drill didn't like that. Make sure it goes through there. Okay, I'm going to look on the other side and see if I chipped out any fiberglass. I don't think so. No, it looks fine. Let's get that bolt in. One washer on the outside. And another washer on the inside. Plenty of length there. And I've got wing nuts, and those might be a problem. Kind of hard to reach back in there, but I think I can do it with this. Oh yeah. Get on the other side. It's coming through just fine. Now I think we're ready to drill the next one. Gonna have to move this over just a titch. It's level. That looks good. Then I'll drill the second hole. Okay, it's square the way it sits. So I can take this out of the way. It's kind of complicated to clamp that thing up there. So these are only going to be on the ladder for short periods of time. Only when I need to reach my ceiling. They're not quite lined up, which is good, but they're good and sturdy, so I feel pretty good. So now I just have to go to the hardware store, get 6 more 3-inch 5/16 bolt with nuts, and off we go. I've got another 2x4 up here, and it's all lined up ready. I've got the spacer in, it's clamped up, and I just laid it on top of the old one, so it's a little bit easier to set up. So I'm going to drill here and drill here, and as you look out here, it's sloped the opposite way of the thicker leg. So this is the back leg, this is the front leg, and they go opposite directions, just like you can see on the other side there. I just did 15 degrees on all of them. So I'll go ahead and drill them and we'll bolt them in. Make sure that's good and tight. Everything's right where I want it to be. So I can put this here, square it up. That's enough in there to guide it. It's like a dull bit. Okay, let's get that bolt in. These are hex bolts, but they'll work just as well, if not better. Fender washer on either side. Nut. So next one's going to go right here. Fender washer on the inside. Take this away. Got the bolt with the washer on both sides. Now I'm just putting the nut on. There she goes. Okay, so I'll get the right tools to crank those good and tight. I have wing nuts on these, so I can't really use a socket on the other side. That's tight. Now for these upper bolts. Good and tight. So I think that's pretty good. So now it's time to do the other side. Okay, so we're good and tight. We should be pretty well set, so I'm gonna move the camera and get ready to put the ladder up. So I've got it upright, but I don't have it quite pulled apart yet. I can tell you that that little bit of wood makes the ladder a lot heavier. There. So it looks like we're pretty sturdy. So I'm just going to climb right up. First step's going to be a big one. My plan was I could get on the third step and reach the ceiling, and I can. Feels pretty sturdy. So this will work to install the ceiling lights in my shop. A little bit of work, but I think it was worth it. Here's what it looks like at the feet there, and at the feet there. So I can't complain. I used the extended ladder for the 2 days it took me to add more lights to the ceiling of my shop, and that'll be in an upcoming video. But the ladder worked really well. I had told a friend of mine about the extended ladder, and he asked if I could bring it over. He has a large RV, and although he keeps it in a storage facility, he brings it home just before and after trips. The city never trims the trees on his street, and low-hanging branches always scrape the top of his RV. He came up with this idea of strapping my extended ladder onto the bed of my pickup. It looks crazy, and I definitely don't recommend doing this, but we were able to trim all the low branches along his street with a ladder in the truck and a pole saw. After I did all the lights with my extended ladder, I took off the extensions. There they are. They make a nice little bundle. I can save them for another time. If you look at the ladder itself, here's the ladder. So I've got it labeled so I can put the extensions back. I know that's where the left front one goes. And here's the 5/16 hole there, and there's a 5/16 hole here, and down on the other back there's a more 5/16 holes. So that's about all there was done to the ladder itself. So I'm going to put the ladder away, put the extensions away, and I'm glad I did this. I don't recommend it for anybody else, but it works for me. Well, that about wraps it up. I hope you found it entertaining. So thanks for watching. If you found this useful, please like and subscribe. Bye.